So today we're going to go ahead and talk about, um, as far as pain management goes, uh, there's one particular exercise that really stands out above all the rest, and it's called counter dog. So it's very similar to downward facing dog, except you're using a counter, like to actually put your hands on. So, counter dog looks like this. If you don't have a counter, you can use a wall. It's best if you have a wall that has something that you can put your hands on. So, like if you have a ledge or a shelf, that would work better. If I had a chair, I could use that. Um, I'm not fully prepared today, though. What else is new? Let's do this. Bring this up a little bit higher. Yeah. Okay. So, counter dog. What makes counter dog so great is that it's it gets you your full motion through your spine. Like it decompresses your spine. Um, it's kind of like downward facing dog, right? So like everybody knows downward facing dog. So you get like this, and you notice everything is tight and everything hurts, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing here, but this is good. Um, Similar idea, except with counter dog, you're not going all the way down to the mat, and you're focusing on bringing the hips up and out behind you, right? So this is probably a little too far. So when you go into counter dog, you want to have your feet right around where your hips are, right? So it should be stacked directly underneath your hips. Your hips come back. You can even press right here to try and get it a little further back. There is a variation where you use a rope that's tied to like a door frame or something, that helps you to kind of put that pressure on that part of your hip to remind you that when you're bending at the hip, you're supposed to bend on the femur side, not all the way up here in the waist, right? This is not your hip, down here is. So, hip comes back. We want to make sure that we have something that has a straight line so that you can follow the straight line with your body. And the idea is that you just breathe while you're like this. So, with each breath, you want to feel your ribs expand. And every time your ribs expand, you should feel a little bit of a shift in your spine. So, if you feel like you've gotten settled in, you can do a micro adjustment here. So, you can spread your fingers more evenly apart. If you have, see if I can try it like this, since I'm just using a foam roller for my counter. Yeah, that's a little better. So, spreading your fingers evenly apart and pressing in with your fingers changes the shape of this pose, right? Changes the way that you feel this pose. So you don't want your legs locked out. So you can see how mine are, my knees are locked. You want your you want to be able to feel this a little bit in your hamstrings, but we're not aiming for pain, right? If it hurts, don't do it. So as soon as you feel like you've settled in again, wiggle, come out of it. A great counter pose to that is taking your hands like this, bringing the palms forward, bringing the shoulders all the way back. So you want it so that your shoulders aren't squeezing together, right? Like you're not causing contraction in your back. You want your palms facing forward, your shoulders are rolled behind you just slightly, and your hands come behind your back like this. So your shoulder extends a little bit. If you have a lot of shoulder pain or upper back pain, this position will be your saving. Check it out. Go back into counter dog. For 3 days, try this every day, at least a few times a day. Let's let's go 5 times a day for 3 days. You could do counter dog when you get up to go to the bathroom, right? There's a counter in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not aiming for perfect. We're aiming for micro adjustments that make long-term differences in your body. We are looking for repetitive, easily controlled motions so that your body can find safety again. We are looking for core stability from being able to breathe. Because your breath plays a lot into that. Like even just sitting here right now, I can feel the middle of my spine really wants to pop, but I'm not breathing deep enough because I keep talking. Actually, sometimes if I'm real lucky, I can come into a half fold. So forward fold like this, right? And then come up halfway, take a breath, press into my thighs, and that will decompress my spine to an extent that I can usually get a pretty good, there we go, pretty good pop. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to pop from that. I am a particularly poppy girl. My back especially is the type that will pop just by looking at it wrong. Um, that's lupus life for you. Everything is broken and no one ever knows why. It's fine. Okay. So, um, another one that I often recommend is going into squats every day. So as you can see, my squat here is actually really shit, but I have a reminder in my phone to do 5 squats every day. Doesn't matter how perfect they are. I just need to be able to go down and come back up. Because when I'm 80 years old, I want to be able to go down and come back up. The more I practice going down and coming back up. Oop, lost my balance. Let's try it again. This is why we practice. Okay. Here we go. It's, what was that? 4, 3, 4. I don't know. We'll do a bunch of them. 5. You can even practice with the arms up, the overhead squat, the dreaded one that everyone hates because nobody really understands how to do it right. See, because I went forward. It's fine. To practice doing a better squat, I will sometimes use a wall for assistance. There's no shame in that because we were We were given bodies and not told how to use them. So, like, this is how my squat is supposed to look. But because my hips get wonky, I'm not always able to do this stance like this. Right now, my hamstrings are pulling on my rotator in my hips. I'm just kind of rocking the rocking my legs with my hands, or elbows more specifically. Because the more I practice doing this style of squat, the more likely I am to actually get into it without assistance. All right, let's try one more. All right, there we go. One, without the wall. Two, ooh, I came forward. So close. But anyway, the idea is if that is a movement you want to be able to do when you're older, you need to be practicing it at least a little bit regularly, because the more you practice it, the more lubricated those joints will be regularly, and the more it becomes muscle memory, right? The more familiar it becomes, the more your body goes, "Hey, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. Yeah, totally." So, like, for example, um, I wanted to learn how to do crow pose. I I think I spent like a solid week or two just focusing on only being able to do the crow pose. And it was so hard. And it was one of those things where I was like, I'm never going to be able to do inversions because my wrists are too sore. I can't figure out how to get there. My elbows don't turn right. I mean, I came up with every excuse I could, because I've been working on doing a handstand for years at this point. I always wanted to do a handstand when I was a kid, and I just never got around to it. So then, more recently, I started doing inversion training, which eventually led me to getting my yoga teacher certification. And here we are today. So, um, as you can see, I just do my couple little warm ups, right? Rolling out my wrists. And I often am able to teach this class now where just about everyone who joins my class is able to do it, because it's a lot about teaching the muscles to go the right direction and then talking them into getting there. So, for myself, I will sit here and I'll do something like a little flicking action here. I like doing flicky flicky. This one I call the doorknob turner. It's just kind of, I really squeeze here when I'm doing it, um, the inside of that forearm, because when you do that, it really gets that grip worked out. Okay, so like I said, the first couple of times that I did crow pose, I had to warm up a lot just to get there. But what's great about your body being conditioned to remember things, like muscle memory, I don't have to do that for hours and hours to be able to do that now, to do crow pose now, because I can do my handful of ones that I know are my problem areas. Like I can, there was a back pop. Like I can do a little bit of um, locomotion here, right? So it's that alternate side um, train locomotion, um, that crossbody plane action. Not that a whole lot of that is involved in crow, but it's helpful in getting smaller to get into crow. Um, I'll practice being in crow pose on the ground so that I can compact my body smaller, right? Doing things like that, like this, and then checking my hands. Ta-da! Now my goal is to be able to hold crow for longer, as opposed to just being able to get into the pose. Um, your goals when you're exercising should be like that for everything. It should be, hey, here's this exercise that I want to do. Here's this thing I want to accomplish. In my case, it was crow pose. So then I had to train each of the muscles individually so that my body could get that proprioception, right? That recognition of that muscle and its limits. Um, making sure my mic didn't turn so off. It's been an adventure learning how to use this thing. Um, so yeah, it's getting that goal in mind. So being able to do crow pose, breaking down each of those pieces, and then using that to get better, so that I don't even have to do the extra warm up every single time, because my body already knows where its limits are for that pose. Um, so let's see. Let's try to use that same philosophy for like like my squats, right? My squats, I was doing a very similar thing. Um, I knew what part of my squat was not working right. It's my hips. So I'm going to do a squat from the side here. Oh, see, it's my hips have an anterior pelvic tilt, which means that naturally my butt tries to come out a little bit, a little donk there. um, my hips come out, they tilt forward, right? So that's really common if you sit in a chair all day. Like if you work at a desk, it's extremely common to have an anterior pelvic tilt. Again, that looks like having just this whole part just dips forward, right? The back comes up. You get kind of like this little booty pop that happens, but your stomach also hangs over the edge, right? Um, you'll also likely have uh, a lot of stretching through the back. So your back is going to be sore, especially in the upper back. Probably doing a lot of this too. Doesn't help. But anyway, all of those factor into why I cannot squat. All of that to say, because my hips go like this, when I try to go forward, it wants me to go backward. Or try to go straight down, it wants me to go backwards. So to compensate, what my body has learned to do is to use just my tippy toes, right? So when I'm in a squat normally, my heels do not stay on the ground like they're supposed to. That's fine for learning things, but not exactly what we're wanting to do. One thing you can do is use a yoga block like this one to practice feeling a squat. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna come down this way. Boy, I really picked a weird angle, didn't I? Okay. My psycho empty room, don't mind me. Okay. It's our guest room. Okay, so got my yoga block. I'm gonna put my heels to rest on it. Right? Actually, I'm gonna grab the other one just so I can have them spaced out. If you are in a gym, a lot of times they'll have wedges available for this that you can put under your feet. Oh gosh, that feels so weird. Okay, so You might notice I do that a lot. I'll start talking, I'll forget that I haven't breathed in a while, and I just kind of stop and start breathing again. Totally normal. All right. Arms come up, down into the squat, and back, and down, and up, and down. 4, 5. Oop. Went a little too fast on that last one, but that's fine. But anyway, so as you could see, it was a little bit easier for me to do it with my heels raised. And that's because a lot of the um, a lot of the reason raising your heels makes it more accessible to get into a squat because it's the same idea of raising your heels like I was doing when I was on my toes, right? Except if you have a block under it, it tells your body, "Hey, you have stability under here. You're not going to fall," right? It changes the way that your feet are responding to the floor. It changes how you're overcompensating. For me, the reason that my hips overcompensate as badly as they do is because my feet roll forward. So I generally have a pronated foot, which just means that I'm like this, right? So instead of having my foot, I've gotten better. I correct myself now, but your foot will kind of cave in, and you can see my knee kind of caves in, and because of that, my hip is not in alignment. It kind of rotates in as well. So you'll get these knees that kind of clank together when you try to go down, right? You see how that would be unstable trying to do it that way? Your foot is supposed to have an arch so that all the things in the chain are using the whole base of the foot to start off of, right? So the whole base of the foot, it's able to go down. Oof, I just got my hip to pop. Okay, I'm getting tired of looking at this light here. Oh my, that's not so bad. It's a little unhinged. Ugh. Okay, so yeah, squats, big deal. Um, let's see some other variations of squats that we could do. Um, you can take a wide stance squat or a wide stance on your mat. Come to one side. So I am leaning to my left. I've got to make sure my foot is straight. This other foot is straight. And then you're going to come down and they call this a Cossack squat. This is another variation of a squat. This is for people that need some of that that hip rotation I was talking about. Because here it is at play. I can feel it already. 3, 4, 5, and switch. 1. And it's okay that I'm not going down super far. I am honoring my body's limits. I am making sure that my pose, my stance is more accurate, even if I'm not going into it as far. I'm making sure that I am keeping my hips square. And if that is painful, you can lift this foot and it makes it more accessible. Right? So whichever foot you're leaning on makes it more accessible. If you're wanting to get more hip flexor stretch, so like the inside of the hip instead of the outside of the hip, the one that's long will be the one. Okay. Okay. I think I'm done now. I'm ready for dinner.